And I don't think they have enough assets to be in.
Why does everybody believe that?
Because
well, not everybody. Why do people believe that if you're playing a game and you get to the middle of the season, you have to make a decision this year whether you're completely in or completely out? Why can't you build over a period of time as opposed to selling everything off for the chance that they're going to develop prospects when they've developed nobody
because
in
they
the
have
last
no
5
blocks
years.
to build with. They don't have value to trade away.
Their development program
Keith's
stinks.
on the line. Would you like to talk to him, and then we can go back to it? You're not going to talk to Keith today?
Keith, are you there? Jason had an opinion. It was a very exciting moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Keith literally just fell off his chair.
He's surprised that I had an opinion, too.
No. What I'm about to say, hey, Jason, I want your opinion or something.
I already gave out one opinion today, Keith.
No. Here, just real quick. Who's better in football? Ohio State or Michigan?
That's easy. Ohio State, just because Jeff's sitting here.
Wait a second.
Keith,
what
Keith,
did I do to you?
Keith, you got to understand. I come in studio today, and I hear Jeff tell me, do you know who the first 2 draft picks in the NHL draft are going to be tonight? And I'm like, why would you know that? Of course they're Michigan, because there's no other way you know anybody drafted in the first round of the NHL draft unless they're a Michigan guy. Yeah, he tried to pull that already on me. Don't you worry.
I was just messing, Jeff. Just like, whoa. Yeah,
wow. What happened to the Panther code?
Seriously.
The Panther code?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Panthers are about to hopefully get in the Big Ten after Texas and all them go to the SEC. And
you mean Pitt is
raise the ACC? Huh?
You mean Pitt is finally going to do what they should have done a decade and a half ago?
Well, that's because look, we're not breaking news here, people. That's just my wish. But Pitt couldn't go because of Joe Paterno. Penn State didn't want him in there.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens this time around because there's a lot of dominoes to fall with Texas and Oklahoma potentially moving to the SEC. I love that we're not even talking basketball with you because we always want to talk stuff that isn't basketball.
He's our college football analyst.
He is our college football analyst. Keith, what kind of...
that is my favorite sport, right?
I'm
one of those guys. I love college football.
I know, and
I know it's weird coming from Philly, but I do.
No, that's why I want
and having gone to Pitt.
That's why I want your take. What's the chaos going to be now? Because then you got the leftover Big 12 teams that are going to have to go someplace. You're going to have other teams that get brought in somewhere. What's the Keith Pompey take on the college football fallout?
Well, just by staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning, keeping up with this stuff last night. They're saying that they think that it could drop down to 3 conferences. They think that a lot of people are just going to, raid. Here's the thing. They're talking about, they're going to say they say Notre Dame could save the ACC, right? But they kind of think that the Pac-12 people are going to leave there. Of course they're going to, if the Big 12 goes, then people are going to raid the Big 12. But, it's crazy, man. I don't know. I like it, but I think Texas and Oklahoma are going to get exposed in the SEC.
Well, hasn't Texas already been exposed?
Yeah, but see, what's funny because Texas realizes that, Texas A&M went there. Now Texas A&M is getting better recruits, right?
Yeah, that's why it all leaked out is because Texas A&M doesn't want them coming.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want them coming. But here's the thing. I think that they're going to go down there and they're going to get exposed. The thing about Texas A&M was like the little brother, not even a little brother. They were the cousin that no one people just didn't invite to the family weddings or
that's what we used to call Michigan State.
Oh yeah, so that's Michigan State. Now, can you imagine? Nothing against Texas, right? I mean, nothing against Michigan. But, people look at Michigan and you either love Michigan or you hate it. And you typically hate it because of the success they had and things like that. Well, that's how Texas is. And Texas still thinks like they still run football, and they don't, right? So I think they're going to go down there and, there's going to be teams like Mississippi State talking about, let's run up the score on those Longhorns. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's going to work out well for them from a football standpoint. But from a money-wise, is a great move to make. But from football, I think they're going to get exposed.
Yeah, it's all about the cash.
Always all about the cash. All right, Keith, NBA Finals are over. I enjoyed them. Giannis is a freak. I've never seen anything like that. Jeff kept telling me there's no way he plays. There's no way he plays. And then all of a sudden he plays, and not only does he play, he does what he did. And then he goes and orders 50 small chicken sandwiches at Chick-fil-A afterwards because we all need some good entertainment. Tell me what we saw in the finals. And
By the way, did he send any to Joel?
That's the story Keith needs to get right there.
Yeah.
I know, right? Breaking news. I mean, here's the thing. Giannis, someone tweeted out, they said, wow, like, him winning back-to-back MVPs turned out to be the preview of what we had this year, we saw in the playoffs. And it's true. Giannis is a guy that everyone talked about how, he couldn't make foul shots. You don't know if you can win a championship with him because he's too one-dimensional. And he didn't look one-dimensional that game. Or let's face it, he's a forward. He's not like a point guard where you expect him to shoot threes. But he got to the foul line and he made them. And the thing that stood out to me was, and this is a cliche that people talk about, but will to win. Like he's a winner. Like this guy did whatever he could to win for his team, to will them to win. And he stepped to the foul line and he made shots. And those are the things that really stood out to me. He stepped up in the biggest game of the season, and he did what he had to do. That's the thing that really stood out to me.
You're right about all of those things, but the extra thing that stood out to me was, and this is where people are going to cringe, and I guarantee you almost everybody in Philadelphia watching those games was thinking the same thing. What I saw out of Giannis was no fear. Was a guy who knows that he is a horrible free throw shooter. He's not a great jump shooter, but he kept shooting. He did not shy away. He didn't go to the basket and pass the ball to somebody else because he was afraid he was going to get fouled. He went out there and he, with no fear, did what he did. And he has the same skills, maybe a little bit better, but he has the same skill set that Ben Simmons has as far as his physique, the way he could play the game. And when you're a Philadelphia fan and you went through this playoffs, not only are you sitting there going, you know what, this could have been the year for the Sixers, you're looking at Ben Simmons and you're asking yourself, why couldn't he play with that mentality?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, I kept asking myself that too. But I just think that, one guy just unleashed it. Like you said, he played without fear. And that's the biggest difference. I mean, I think that, they have different types of personalities. Giannis just doesn't care. I mean, he just doesn't. He knows he's the man. He's the guy. I just think that he's one. And, like, you hear the stories about him. Like, we're talking about Ben Simmons getting in the gym and shooting jumpers, right? Well, you hear the stories of Giannis, they kicking him out the gym because he's shooting too many jumpers and lifting too many weights. You know what I mean? They're like, dude, take a break. So I just think it's different mentalities. Also, Giannis is the type of guy, when you hear his story, he's one of these guys, he and his brothers, they were like selling merchandise on the streets of Greece growing up, trying to make money for their family. Mm-hmm. So when you hear stuff like that, this guy is like, he knows like basketball was his way out. It became his enjoyment. It became his family's way out. Look at it. His brother's on the team. The other brother played for the Lakers last year. So, they just got two completely different personalities. Two completely different.
Where is Ben's head now? And that's a hard question to ask. I don't expect you to kind of read his mind, but, he goes through the offseason. He has his struggles in the playoffs. Then all of a sudden, Giannis wins. Okay, now he's getting scrutiny for what he's doing in the offseason. This is my least favorite time of year when we can see videos of Ben in the gym shooting three-pointers all summer long about how great he is with that. We all know it's not his inability to shoot. It's his unwillingness to shoot. Is anything that happened going to change what Ben Simmons does, whether it's here or someplace else going forward?
I mean, you would hope it does. I mean, because, you would hope it's going to change because, this was rough. Like, I'm not going to say rock bottom, but he hit Philly rock bottom, like how everyone turned on him.
Keith, it's pretty rock bottom. He was the butt of the jokes by a bunch of kids on the ESPYs. It's pretty far.
Yeah, Yeah, so,
and Captain America.
It's kind of odd.
When Captain
Mike
America
Philby,
takes
everyone,
shots at you, I mean,
yeah, which is, I guess that's American, right? To take shots at people.
You've
right?
made it.
So yeah. I mean, you would hope. I mean, because right about now, it's kind of like you said, all that stuff. Right now, you got people in Australia, publicly saying they support you, but they're probably thinking like, dude, we have a chance to get a medal this year in the Olympics, and you don't want to play with us, but you're out, at Wimbledon with your girlfriend, instead of being at practice and being with the Australian team. So, he has a lot to prove, and he knows that, and then especially, Giannis of all people, that's probably the worst person to win a championship because of, as you guys say, they have so much in common, so many similarities. And basically the only difference is, one guy, wasn't afraid to fail, where the other guy has a fear of failure. And the fear of failure is the big roadblock in front of him. So, I mean, I don't know if he can come back here because of that, because of the way the fans are treating him. But you would hope for him that he'll go elsewhere and he'll be able to at least put it together to save his image, so to speak.
Will he go elsewhere?
It depends on if they can what they can get from him. I mean, right now you will have to say that the price tag is kind of low. People aren't trying to give you anything, but the closer you get, maybe not the draft, but the closer you get to the season, you would think that people will say, hey, look, man, maybe we need to up the ante. I mean, no one's going to give you what you want right now, but it's always as it gets closer. Think about when Kawhi Leonard was talking about he wanted to be traded away from San Antonio, and then people talking about second-round picks, role players, and then all of a sudden the Toronto Raptors like, we're going to give you an all-star, and we're going to give you, we're going to give you another player to go along with him, and that's what the Spurs ended up taking, So I think it's going to be one of those situations.
All right, well, let me ask you about the other Australian feel-good story. Matisse Thybulle is now playing for the Australian national team. People are getting a little excited about it. He's back to, I think, being on his social media and kind of gaining that attention. How is this helping him as a ball player, and what are you hearing about Matisse out there?
I mean, it's helping him a lot because if you look at it, he's doing the things that people want him to do here. Like he's out there hitting corner threes, and he's being a 3-and-D type of guy. The big thing is what is he going to do when he gets done? Is he going to continue to get in the lab and work out? Like one thing, I haven't reached out to people just yet, but I would like to know what is he doing, while he's out there, like, or when he was with the team. How much time is he dedicating to just getting his own workout in? You know what I mean? I know people say it's basketball overload, but right now he knows that this is going to be a big year for him next season. But here's the thing: like he's only helping himself. Like people are going to see Matisse. We all know he has a great personality. He's a great person. So what's going to happen is people are going to watch the games. They're going to see this guy, and his stock is just going to rise. He's going to play against Team USA, other guys who like, was it like 46 or 48 NBA players in the Olympics playing right now, So he's going to go up against good competition, and all that's going to do is just boost his profile, and it's going to boost his confidence. So, I'm looking for Matisse to have a solid season next year. I think that's going to be the year that he makes that push.
All right, so the flip side of Matisse in Australia is Team USA, who had 2 losses in exhibition, has had to swap some players in and out with COVID. And more importantly, I don't think people realize the way that the NBA plays ball isn't the way that international ball is called. And I always laugh at NBA players who are looking for calls that you just don't get in international ball. They're going to be able to figure this out, Keith?
I don't know. That's the $1 million question because, like, to me, the NBA, like you said, they worry about getting calls, and we look at the roster, right? You see a lot of similar players. Now, they sent, like, Zach LaVine is not with the team yet, but they sent Bradley Beal home. But when you look at like Bradley Beal, right, him and Dame Lillard, I mean, they're similar type of guys. Kevin Durant, similar type of guy. Even Zach LaVine, similar type of guy. And what I mean by that is they're used to having the ball in their hands and creating and taking shots. They're extremely ball dominant. So the thing about this team is, there's one player who needs the ball. That's Kevin Durant. The rest of them, I think they have to do a better job of fulfilling roles as a team. Like, I just don't like this team from a standpoint of you have too many similar players. Now they have Drew Holiday, who's a real point guard. He's a combo, but he's going to have to run the points for him. And then Chris Middleton is a nice forward. But for the most part, I'd see too many guards who are score-first guards on this team.
That's sort of my question. Who are the role players on this team? Who are the glue guys? You got the big-name stars who want the ball in their hand, but you can't have all those guys on the court at the same time and have it be a team.
Exactly. So the glue guys are right now you have Bam Adebayo at the center spot. You have Jeremy Grant, right? And you have what's my man from Michigan State, played for Golden State.
Draymond Green.
Come on, Jeff. Yeah, Draymond. So yeah, those are the three role players right there. Now you do have JaVale McGee, who gives you size, and he's going to be a role player as well. But for the most part, JaVale McGee is a guy that they just added, right? So that's what they have right now, and that's it.
Yeah, it's definitely concerning if you care about watching Team USA play well in the Olympics. The dream team, they are not right now.
No, they're not. They're not.
So what's the next move for the Sixers? What do they do from this point? What do we have to look forward to this summer?
Other than lots of Keith Pompey stories.
Yes.
I'm thinking, right now the thing that's really important is Ben Simmons. What's going to happen with him? And then after that is free agency. I wrote a couple minutes ago about that they had discussions. They're having discussions about, possibly trading the first round pick. And it's not a definite, but they expect, talks to heat up leading up to the draft. And when you look at Daryl Morey's track record, the last time when he was in Houston, the last time he had a first round pick was 2015, right? So, you're looking at this team and you say to yourself, right now, unless somebody drops to him, the 28th pick isn't going to be someone that's going to help this team. He'll be someone that is going to probably not in the rotation, someone that's going to be on the G League team, right? But right now, they need veterans who they can come in and play. They need to figure out what they're going to do with Ben. But in regards to, a guy at number 28, they were lucky to get Maxey because Maxey dropped. But for someone at 28, I don't look at the draft as something important for the Sixers this year. Think about it, fellas. The last couple of years, there was a nice buzz surrounding the draft. Right about now, no one's talking about the draft.
Yeah, because there hasn't been enough to see. I mean, we had a season last year with college basketball, but it just wasn't the same thing. So unless even the top of the draft, people have an idea who those people are, but there aren't that many people at the lower half of the draft that people know.
And Keith, is that thought of trading that pick in the first round, is that because there's guaranteed money to that pick, and by having a second rounder, you don't have to tie up money for a team that's cash strapped potentially?
It's partly that way, but also for Daryl Morey was always like a win now type of guy, and that money is guaranteed. You are right, and for 28 and 31, what's the difference, right? So it's seriously. 31 isn't getting a guaranteed deal. I mean, unless he has a really good agent, right? But for the most part, they won't. But I think it's more so when you look at it, this team right now needs someone that's going to be able to step in, And you're right, that money is going to go on the cap, but they need someone that's going to step in. I mean, you can mess around and get someone for, a mid-level or a minimum. Had them for a year or 2 years and then get rid of them, you know what I mean, if it doesn't work out. But, I just think that from a standpoint, you're just drafting someone to draft them. Because look at it, at the 28th pick, you can say that player isn't going to be better than Tyrese Maxey. That player isn't going to be better than Matisse Thybulle. What about Isaiah Joe? What about Paul Reed? These are two guys who, or should have a better role or more of a role this year on the 76ers team. So, I think that has a lot to do with it as well. Now there have always been teams like Golden State who had guys and they turned them into, bench players or quality role players. But, for the most part, I think for the Sixers, the main thing is worrying about what you're going to do with Ben Simmons. You don't even know, until you do that, you don't even know the needs that you're going to have for this team.
All right. Well, look, we're going to let you go at this point. But for people who don't know, Keith is quite the pitch man these days. I'm not going to let you say who you're pitching for because I still haven't gotten my cans of it. But tell me, if you were back in college, would you be pushing for the press to also be able to get money from name, image, and likeness?
Yeah, because you know why? Because they were getting money anyway, especially at Michigan.
Hey.
You turned your shot at a pitch man into a shot at Michigan. Well played.
Hey, let me tell you, man. You knew they were. That was like the biggest joke around. Like, if you were like the 4-star, 5-star recruit, this and that, you knew that guy was getting paid, right?
That's a great last word, Keith.
You mean like Chris Webber?
There you go.
Everyone. Hey, look, let me tell you, man. We had this one dude who, he dressed like a bum, right, at Pitt, big time player, right? So I said, yo, man, why does he look like that? Everybody else has cars. And then someone showed me, they said, come to the room. So we went to the room, and they showed me a picture of his crib, his mom's house back home. And I was like, wow.
You're like, that's why.
Yeah. He was like the nicest guy, but mom got paid. They got paid for the signing, but that's how it was at most schools,
Even at Pitt, and they stunk when we were at Pitt.
Yeah,
they did. The funny thing is, my freshman year, they did make a bowl game, and then after that, it went down.
Yeah,
so it's your guys' fault.
Wait. Making a bowl game when there's about 70 of them means nothing. What bowl game did they make?
It wasn't that bad. They played in the. It was in El Paso. It was the one in El Paso.
Oh yeah, that's what every kid dreams about.
Tell Jeff to take his nose out of the air, Keith. Not all of us.
Wait, Michigan doesn't go to bowls anymore.
Exactly.
They were 2-4 last year.
Hey, but listen, did Michigan go to the Rose Bowl while you were there?
3 times, my man.
Who they lose to?
Hey, no. All right. That's enough.
That's the last word, Keith. Follow Keith at Pompey on Sixers. Always enjoy getting to talk to you, man. Thanks for giving us a few minutes.
Okay, thanks for having me, fellas.
Take it easy, man.